In this video, I'll be demonstrating how a new user can get started with Rational Team Concert Shell. For the purpose of this demo, I'm a new joinee in my team. I've just installed Rational Team Concert Shell and I have a team invite from my team lead. I know that I have to use the invite to get connected to my project area and start working with my team. My goal for today is to make improvements to a set of existing demo guidelines and then share my changes with my team. I noticed that after I've installed the RTC shell client, an RTC icon shows up on my task tree. I click on it and it pops up my status. The status indicates that I'm not connected to a repository and I have no changes that I want to share with my team yet. So I need to get started. To get started, I connect to the Team Concerts control panel. The help on the right-hand side of the screen guides me on how I should be using the control panel. Since I have an invitation from my team lead, I click on the Accept Team Invitation link. I paste my team invite, enter my password, and then I wait for the tool to join me to my team. Once the tool joins me to my team, it gives me a set of choices about what I could do next. Working with Team Concert artifacts sounds interesting, and I decide to go there. In the artifacts view, I see that I have a repository connection created for me via the accept invitation operation. I'm joined to my project area as well. Being a new user, I do not have any repository workspaces. I'm not quite sure what sandboxes are, so I click on the help to give me an idea. I figured that it's time for me now to create my own repository workspaces and start working. I navigate to the control panel's main page using the breadcrumbs at the top. Then I navigate to the source control page, which I assume would be the place where I would be working with my repository workspaces. I click on the Create a New Repository Workspace link. Since I wish to share my changes with my team, I have to flow them to my team stream. And that's what I select. The tool displays to me a list of my team streams. I choose the one I'm interested in. I name my repository workspace. The next screen shows me a list of components available in the stream. The components I choose from here will flow to my workspace. I keep the default selection. I also make sure that my repository workspace gets loaded into my file system after it's created. I click Finish. Once the tool creates my repository workspace, it asks me where the repository workspace should be loaded in my file system. I type in a folder name. This folder is going to be my sandbox. The next page shows me a list of folders that will get loaded into my sandbox in my file system. Once again, I keep the defaults and I click Finish. The tool validates the load and then it starts loading folders into my sandbox. Once it's done with the load, it takes me to my sandbox automatically. I see the two folders that were loaded into my sandbox, and both of them have an orange cylinder icon indicating that they have been shared into Rational Team Concert. Before I start working on the presentations, I want to make sure that my new repository workspace and sandbox show up in my artifacts view, so I go back there. Sure enough, I see a brand new workspace under My Repository Workspaces and the new sandbox under Sandboxes. I want to check on my status, so I go to the task tray once more and click. It tells me that I am now connected to a repository. RTC is tracking my changes in a sandbox, but I still have no changes to share with my team. So I decide to fix that. I go into the customers folder and I see a bunch of files there. I know that I need to prepare for a customer demo, so I open demo1.txt. I add a line there. I see that as soon as I save the file, its icon changes, indicating that there is now a local change in the file. I check in the file now. Once the file is checked in, I go back to my status. And finally, it says that I have an outgoing change set, which is cool. I want to see just exactly what I've changed in demo1.txt, so I try comparing it with the previous version. It shows up my changes in the compare editor. It's time for me now to share my changes with my team. I remember that my team lead had told me to deliver my changes always against work items. He'd also mentioned that he'd set up a process for my team that mandated that any change shared with the team had to be associated with a work item, and the tool would stop me if I tried to do otherwise. I'm curious to see how it works, so I click on Deliver anyway. The tool gets busy. And then oops, it's popped up an error telling me why it couldn't deliver my changes. Looks like the changes need to be associated with a work item. I choose the Associate Work Item menu and it pops up a dialog asking me to choose a work item. I search for the word demo because I presume that my team lead has already created a work item for me, and the tool shows me the one I'm interested in. I click OK to associate the work item with the changes that I've made today. Now that the changes are associated with the work item, I can deliver. So I do just that. Deliver goes through this time. My status tells me that I have no pending changes, which is exactly what I want to be.